God is able to do immeasurably more than we can ask or imagine, and He does that through His power within us.
So what led to overseas ministry for us was just the guidance of God. Not really something that we had thought a lot about, but it became very obvious that that was something that God was asking us to explore. And so we just took the step and put ourselves forward for it, and away we went. Yeah.
And I think with that sense of just making ourselves, through obedience, open to what God wanted for us, we also have, as a couple, a deep sense of adventure to step into the unknown together and with God, and that was part of just making ourselves available through the Salvation Army.
So there were a lot of different projects and social work that was going on in Sri Lanka that we were part of. I had the privilege of working in Hope House, which was a community centre which had a lot of different components to it. Montessori, preschool, a physiotherapy, a hostel for disabled men. Yeah, it was not hard to see where Self-Denial Funds was able to help people in their greatest need. One woman that I worked alongside, she actually grew up in the Haven, got supported by the Salvation Army, went to schooling through the Salvation Army, was homed in the girls' home, and through that just had a beautiful encounter with God and wanted to give her life to helping other people. Worked for the Salvation Army with such passion and pride, and she was then able to help other people do the same thing.
There was one young guy who was just beginning out on a piano, and we used to meet every Thursday and just talk and pray and do music together. I said one week, "Why don't you write a song?" He says, "I can't write a song." I said, "Why don't you try?" Anyway, he turned up the next week and he had a song. That song has now become a standard, not just in the Salvation Army in Sri Lanka, it has become a standard in the Church of Sri Lanka and is part of the worship space of the Sri Lankan church. For me, that is a ripple effect. He is now part of a group in the Salvation Army that are training a next generation of young people in leadership, in discipleship, and also in worship. And boy, that's encouraging. As we think about self-denial, there's no doubt that it is absolutely necessary that we get a vision of being part of the kingdom of God that's bigger than ourselves and even bigger than our own church or core or even our own country. As we get a vision for the kingdom of God, we need to be part of that as well. And when we come from countries with much, we need to have a vision of being part of God's work in countries that have not much. And so we would genuinely encourage all Salvationists to be part of self-denial and would say work towards being sacrificial giving and work towards 1 week of salary towards supporting the work of God around the world through the Salvation Army. It makes a difference.
When we look back on our service, when we look at how self-denial appeal funds enable mission and ministry, and we're just always amazed at how good God is, how faithful God is, and how He is a God of miracles.
The truth is that in many of these countries, what might seem a small amount for us in many ways, God uses abundantly, immeasurably more in these countries. A week's salary goes way further than a week's salary goes here, and that's part of how God will bless and use. But like the loaves and fishes, the blessing would continue to grow through people as they are developed.